Love is in the air, everywhere it can be found. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you made it by here at Tom's Cabin, Books and More. I'm your host, Tom McAuliffe. Good to have you with us. We're going to talk about our passion for books. And, I used to be a cruise ship entertainer. That's how I used to start my show, is with the song Love is in the Air. And certainly this week, Love is in the Air, because we're all about romance and the romance genre, romantic books, most popular genre out there. Let's get underway. Well, when I started putting together this show, our special on romance books and the love, what I call the love genre, I said, we have to get a great guest. And we lucked out. Ladies and gentlemen, this young lady has been tearing up the charts in the romance genre. Julie Navickas, am I saying that right? Navickas? Julie Navickas is a romance author represented by Chip Rice at WordLink, and she's known for her keen ability to tell heart-wrenching second chance love stories through relatable characters with humility, humor, and heroism. Her Trading Heartbeats trilogy is the recipient of a Literary Global Book Award and 5 first-place wins with the Book Fest in the contemporary romance category. And she's won a whole bunch of other awards as well. Her debut trilogy also earned 3 finalist designations with the American Writing Awards and the Clarion Awards. Julie is also an award-winning university instructor in the School of Communication at Illinois State University and works in corporate communications at a company called Country Financial. She's earned master's degrees in both organizational communication and English studies, as well as a bachelor's degree in public relations. Well, we get real fortunate here, and we get some great guests. And this week, we really are fortunate. This woman is a true renaissance. When I look at what she does, man, I get tired. I mean, because she is a true virtuoso. Please welcome to the show. How about it for Julie Navickas?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be here.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Our show this week is all about romance.
Like my thing.
You're a good-looking woman. You've got how many books out now?
I have 6 that are published right now.
And I know you've won a bunch of awards. I want to get into this and talk to you a little bit about romance. I was really kind of unfamiliar. I had never, until recently in doing the research for the show, I had never read a romance novel.
Oh, you're missing out.
I'll tell you. And I was recently a author exhibitor at a show in Orlando, a book festival in Orlando, and most of the other authors there were romance.
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted at the amount of excitement and enthusiasm that the readers had. They are voracious.
Yes.
I mean, they'll read 30 books a month, won't they?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Yeah, the industry is booming when it comes to romance novels.
I was looking up the stats, and they said it generates $1 billion a year.
Yeah, I've read the same statistic. Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Mm-hmm. Now, have you always been a romance author? How did you get started?
Yeah, it's the only thing. I think back of what did I enjoy reading? And I know that I have certainly come up in the romance novel kind of space. My grandma was an avid reader. My mother is an avid reader. So I didn't stand a chance, right? I was going to inherit this. So when I sat down to truly work through my first novel, it wasn't really a question to me what I was going to start with. So I started in romance, and I really don't see myself moving into any other space, at least in the immediate future.
And have you always been a writer?
Well, I would say in a more corporate kind of space. My background, my education was in public relations and organizational communication, and I did a little bit of research and coursework in English studies as well. So I've been around the storytelling space, but it wasn't until about 5 years or so ago that I really got into like the creative writing kind of experience, which I've really enjoyed. And it's been such a nice kind of parallel to what I do in the more professional space.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because,
Yeah.
like I say, you are a true virtuoso, um, and so you're a romance award-winning romance author. I know
Yes.
you do a lot of outreach and helping other authors and such like that, and
Yeah.
educational outreach, that kind of stuff. You
Yeah.
are a corporate public relations professional
Yes.
in a top 500 Fortune 500 company, and then you also are a professor teaching young people about the
All
art and
true.
science of books.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Of all
Make me
those,
sound
which
a
is your
lot
favorite?
better. Oh
Of
gosh, the romance part. Definitely. If I had it my way, I would be a full-time writer. I would 100% spend my day writing and telling stories, which I still get to do. It's just in a very different kind of space when it comes from that corporate lens.
if I'm sure it must be a challenge balancing all that, and then of course you have a personal life. Are you a mom?
Mhm. I
Yeah.
am. I have 3 kiddos.
Oh my God, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you.
Thank you. I will
Um,
take that.
um, if there's other viewers out there, what's the secret to balancing all that in life?
Yeah, I get asked that question all the time. And I wish I had this like brilliant answer that would just simply explain how you can do most of those things well. You can't do all of it well. But honestly, when I look at my day, it's not structured, it's incredibly flexible. I think you just need to be okay with making the time and space for the things that you prioritize. I love to be able to write something every single day. Is that realistic? No, not at all. Some days I can spend 5 to 10 minutes working on my story. Other days it's an hour or two, or maybe I have like a free lunch break, or I write when my daughter's in dance class or something. Like you just kind of make it work and just give yourself that permission and that grace to know that not every day is going to work out exactly how you planned it. And if you get something done, great. If you don't, that's all right. Something else
We
came up.
I love that. We do what we prioritize, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the truth of it.
You know.
Hmm.
And well, let's talk about the romance genre because that's what we're
Hmm.
here to talk about. What
Certainly.
do you say to folks who say, I was really impressed with the book I read? I read by Nora Roberts.
Oh, I
Uh,
love Nora.
she's a great author.
Yes.
And what do you say to folks who say that the romance genre is hokey or
Yeah.
unrealistic or too sweet or whatever?
Yeah, it's seen some backlash. I completely agree with you on that. But I always tell readers, it's not just about the romantic relationship, right? It's a holistic story. At least from my perspective, when I'm writing, yes, there is a romantic relationship, and sometimes that is the larger point of the story, but there's always something else there, something else that you can learn along the way, some experiences that you can kind of bring your readers in. I like to write about healthy relationships, how to communicate more, effectively with the person that you're with. So you learn, right? There's something more to it than just simply kissing and, closed door scenes and whatnot. There's more to it. So I
Well,
think if you give it a chance, right? Like you're open to it, you get more.
and certainly the old days of the damsel in distress are gone. These
With
women
certainty.
are powerful,
Hmm.
in charge women,
Exactly.
and I when I went to the bookstore and looked through the romance section
Hmm.
and just looking at the blurbs on the back, it
Yep.
was easy for me to see that it's
Yeah.
about
It's evolved.
empowering women.
It is. It truly is. I mean, it's like I said, it's not just about the relationship, but they could be real true powerhouse women. And sure, everybody wants to, find their special someone, right? But it complements the life that you have. It doesn't have to be holistically about it.
Do you think that being in love helps when you're writing?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say it certainly can't hurt, right? You can reflect and draw on your own feelings and experiences. And I know I've always been shared, the advice of, write what you know. So if that's the case, then I most certainly drawn on my own experiences and
Do
written what I know.
do real world situations that you've experienced make it into your books?
Oh, absolutely. I might not keep like a physical, like journal of different things or experiences that I've had or things that I've witnessed, but they're all up here, right? I think that's what writers are just kind of trained to do is just you'll experience something, you'll watch something, and you just kind of bank it, right, for later of like, oh, I'm going to write about that one day, or that person has influenced a character that I'm going to include. So, absolutely, I think that we all do that.
Well, being the wannabe alpha male that I am, it all comes down to sex. Let me ask you: is it hard to do sex tastefully, and or still be writing for a young adult
Mhm,
audience?
mhm.
You don't want to be nasty and
Nope.
within bounds. And how do you handle that
How
kind
do
of
you
thing
do
in a
it?
romance novel?
Yeah, no, that's another fantastic question because you're right. There is a way to do it that I think is tastefully done. I've learned over time that it's not about the actions, right? It's about the feelings. What do you feel when you're experiencing that in your lifetime, right? How do you feel in the moment? It could be more so about like the senses, right? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you feel? And if you focus on that in the writing, it's not about what body part is going in what places, right? So if you think about it from that angle, I think you can very tastefully show the reader what's happening in that very intimate scene without having to give like a play by play of exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
That's the way I approach it.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Well, let's talk about your trilogy. You
Mhm.
wrote a trilogy right out of the box, which
I
is
did. I
smart.
did. It
I
was
mean,
not intentional, but yes, that's true.
was that the type of thing where you had a huge novel and chopped it into three, or
No, no. So I'll take you back a little bit. So when I was in grad school, I enrolled in a course that was like advanced writing for mass media. And one of our assignments, our larger project for the semester, was to write a script. It could be a movie script or it could be like a television pilot, something along those lines. So I wrote this totally terrible script, right? In my infinite wisdom in grad school. And I stuffed that script. I got an A on it, but I stuffed it in a folder and I pushed it into a drawer and really just kind of let it live there for at least a decade. And then when the pandemic hit and we were all frantically trying to occupy our time, here's me cleaning out cabinets and stuff. And I found this folder and I flipped through it and I gave myself a really good laugh, just revisiting my mind at the time and my thought process and things. But after reading through it again, I'm like, oh, you know what, this story was kind of sweet, had some good characters in it, I liked the concept. And I'm like, what else am I doing right now? Like the pandemic was the time for exploring hobbies, right, and doing different things that you traditionally wouldn't get to. So I'm like, I'll just play around with it and I'll just see if I can write a novel. So I did. I took that concept and just flipped it, turned it into a different style of writing for a different purpose, a different audience. And as I started writing through it, I realized that there were more characters secondary in that story that could most certainly hold their own and have their own story. So it kind of evolved slowly as I was writing, thinking like, oh, I could take this and make a sequel. And then sure enough, that sequel turned into a trilogy. So my mind just kind of started moving in that direction organically, but it was certainly not planned.
but from a marketing standpoint, that's just brilliant
Yeah.
because
It,
you get
yes.
them hooked on that first novel, and then
Hmm.
they move on. Uh,
Absolutely. Yep. Yes. Yeah.
now
And
you've got like 3 or 4 or 5 degrees, don't you?
I have three. Yes.
Oh my God, my
My
God.
bachelor's degree was in public relations, and then I did a graduate degree in organizational communication, and then a second graduate degree in English studies with an emphasis on book history.
Well, wouldn't it be exciting for you to be able to pitch that entire corporate and be a full-time award-winning author as you are, and you're this
Oh,
close to that? I
I
mean,
would love
every
it.
when I was
I would love
researching
it.
you, when I was
Uh-huh.
researching you, my God, every you're all over the place. You're on the different
Oh,
charts, and um
well, thank you.
now,
That makes me feel so good.
we talk about the Trading Heartbeats trilogy. I
Hmm.
know I know it's hard, but which of the books are your favorite?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that question. I I've given different answers at different points in my life, but I would say the one that really sticks with me most is I Love You Today, which is the second novel in the Trading Heartbeats trilogy. I can't exactly pinpoint why, but I really love those two characters that I wrote. And it's a sports romance. I love the Chicago Cubs, huge baseball fan. And so that was
Oh,
kind of an,
I'm a
I know, right?
I'm a Detroit Tigers. My uncle played for the '68 Tigers.
All right. So there's a little bit of a rivalry there, but yeah, a true Cubs fan, right? And so I wrote that into the storyline. And, I'm from the Chicagoland area. So it was just kind of like being able to experience and pull in some of those familiar settings. And I just love those characters. So I guess that's my answer. I Love You
I,
Today, book two.
we used to go over to Chicago. My birthday is on St. Patty's Day, and we would always go over
That's
and
the time.
you guys dye all the rivers green and stuff.
Uh
We
huh.
have a
Uh
great
huh.
time in Chi-Town, no doubt.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
Um, Now, are all your books, you have books, ebooks, and audiobooks too?
No audiobooks, not at this time. It's on my list of things to think about. I've done a little bit of exploration, a little bit of research, and I've discovered that it is quite costly to do it well, right? I'm not an advocate for AI generated voices. I don't believe in that. And so I would want to work with a professional narrator who could do the story justice. And that costs money, which is not something I'm willing to invest in at this time.
As a former on-air radio personality and narrator myself, I can definitely attest to that.
Exactly.
I do want to talk to you about AI. I will say this though, all of my books are available at Apple Audiobooks. They have a program where basically, if you go exclusive with them for 6 months,
Yeah.
they will narrate and create the audiobook for you. But it
Really?
is with computer narration. I
Yeah.
got two feelings about that. Number one, it's putting my brothers and sisters out of work.
Yep.
And number two, for a long time, I hated it because they didn't have the inflection down. It came
Exactly.
across in this monotone tone
Right.
where
Very
everything is the
flat.
same.
Hmm.
But that has come a long,
Long way.
long way.
Oh yeah. It's
And
evolving.
now the listener seems to be demanding multiple narrators. In other
Yeah.
words, in your book, you
Uh-huh.
need a male narrator, you need a female narrator,
You do.
and yeah, that can get. I'm
Hmm.
told that the new audiobook by Ken Burns
Yeah.
had something like 23 different narrators involved in the
Really.
production.
Gosh, and think of like that final, product too, to be able to have something go into that. And, you just have to have the resources and time to do it justice.
But well, I hope you look at that because it is
Well,
a growing
oh,
area
yeah.
to be
Yeah,
able
yeah.
to drive down the road and
Hmm.
listen to your stories is wonderful.
Absolutely.
What's next for you?
What is next for me? So I took this year, 2025, to really evaluate what my publishing goals were going to be. And so I was very fortunate and lucky to sign with a literary agent over the summer. I work with Chip Rice, who is at WordLink Incorporated. And we spent some time this fall really polishing a rom com that I put together. It's called Love and Honey Buns. And that story went out on submission in the middle of October. So I am very patiently waiting to hear back and hopeful that some publishers will be interested in partnering with me moving forward. And if that's the case, then I'm open to wherever it is I'm ready to go next.
In other words, sign a six-figure check and we'll see you in the Bahamas.
And then you'll get your audiobooks.
There you go.
Right.
Um, well, let's talk a little bit about AI. Do you think that if an author, I mean, and first I differentiate between assisted AI,
Yeah.
like Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid, stuff, and just looking at my spelling and my grammar, which is horrible.
Exactly.
Um, and
Generative.
generate. I
Yeah.
mean, the idea that I can do a prompt and have a bot spit out 20,000 words,
I know.
I
I
got a
know.
problem with that.
I got a problem with that too. Yeah, it's incredibly discouraging from people like us, right, who are creatives by nature, and you put the time and you put the work and you do the research and you perfect and fine tune and you teach students, right, how to do it effectively. It hurts my soul a little bit to know that somebody can just open up Chat GPT and go, tell me a story about, and they get a story. And it's quite well done now too. It's not you sometimes you truly can't tell the difference, right, of what's
Yeah,
a
see,
word that I put together. Yeah.
I can tell. I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
tell. And
There are,
it
yeah.
keeps using specific words like tapestry. It keeps wanting to talk to me about sunrises and sunsets
Oh,
and you know, um
true, true. But
but
you can play with AI, right? If you have one of the paid versions of like Chat GPT or Copilot or something, you can enter in the settings like avoid words like sunrise, sunset, tapestry, and it won't spit those back out at you. So the more you learn about how to navigate those AI tools, the more perfect your content can be when it generates it for you. So it's
well,
just, it's evolving, right?
yeah, for me, coming from the nonfiction side of the house,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of exploring a genre where we take factual things
Yes.
and then weave in some fictional things in order
Mm-hmm.
to tell a better story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so great to hear you talk about how important story is,
Yeah,
because I
it
think
is.
we sometimes forget that. We try to
Mm-hmm.
write to the market,
Right.
and the reader is interested in the story.
Always about the
Um,
story. That's really what it comes down to, isn't it? That's the heart of it.
I remember growing up, we're full blooded Irish, and sitting around the feet of my grandfather and having
Hmm.
him tell stories about the old country and stuff like that. And
Exactly. Exactly.
nowadays, kids, you know.
Stare at a tablet.
Anyway, um, tell me a little bit about your process.
Mhm.
Would you consider yourself a pantster or a plotter?
Oh, okay. So my answer to this question has evolved over time. I will say when I first started, I was very much a plotter. That's just naturally how my brain works. If I were to write like an academic paper, I would produce a full outline first and then follow it to a T from start to finish. So I approached it was the same process for me when I began writing. And I discovered that by the time I was writing book number 6, Chasing Love, which is the third book in my second trilogy, I was bored. I got to certain chapters and it felt like a chore for me to have to sit down and write exactly what I had planned on doing. Like it just kind of lost that excitement for me. And I thought, I never want to feel this way again. Like writing for me it's a reward. It's something that I enjoy doing. It brings me happiness. I shouldn't be feeling like, oh, I got to slog through this chapter. Right. So after I completed that book, I'm like, I'm just going to try something new. I'm going to sit down with a open blank Word document and I'm going to see what comes out. And the entire next book that I wrote, it happened to be a romantic suspense and I love that story. I love it and I made it up as I went along. So that's kind of my new process is I make it up for about the first 40%. And then once I hit 40%, that's kind of the mark in the book where you're like, I kind of have to have an idea of where this is going to go. Otherwise, I'm going to have a ton of edits ahead of me. So I usually pause at about 40% and start to structurally think through what has to happen to this character's arc, what's going to be that external plot, what's going to be that moment, that third act, climax or that breakup or like what has to happen. So I'll give myself a little bit of space to kind of start to piece it together, but I still make it up as I go along. So that's my
And,
process.
and you're doing that all at the keyboard?
Oh, yeah, pretty much on the fly. I just work in Google Docs and just kind of make notes to myself as I go along and I just produce as I can.
Have you ever considered or looked at dictation?
Um, I change my mind a lot when I write. I will type out 3 words and I will delete them and I will replace them with 4 other words and I will delete them and start over. So I don't know that dictation would work well for me because I change my mind so often and I edit as I go, which I know is not a best practice. It's just how my brain works. So unless it's perfect, I don't want to keep going. So if I dictated, I think it would just be this mishmash of stuff that I'd have to go
Oh,
through and edit.
oh, so you've seen my work. Um, so, and how long does it take you to write a romance novel?
I have written a romance novel in about 2.5 weeks before. It wasn't great, right? But it was a solid draft of a story. So in as little as 2.5 weeks, because I was off from university, I had time to kill, I had time to dedicate to it. So I could do it quickly if I needed to. But I would think a best practice, I usually can take about 3 or 4, maybe 5 months before I feel really good about a product.
Interesting. Now, where can folks find you? And I know you're on Amazon Kindle because that's where I found you. But
Yeah.
tell me about your website and your social media stuff.
Absolutely. So I am an avid social media user. So you can find me on pretty much any platform, just at Julie Navickas. I spend a lot of my time on TikTok, on Instagram. I do have a presence on Threads and Blue Sky, as well as Facebook and Twitter. You can find me at authorjulienavickas.com. I have a newly refreshed website that I'm proud to share now. It looks a little bit better than it did a couple of months ago. Thank you.
Very nice.
So, yep, readers can find me there, but my books are available on Amazon. They're available on Apple Books, on Kobo, and you can find me on Barnes and Noble as well.
If there was, I always ask my guests this question. If there was one thing that you wish readers knew about your books, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a hard question. That's a hard one. If there's one thing that I wish readers would know about my books, I do my best to write emotionally driven character stories, right? Character driven stories. So you're not just simply getting a romance, you are getting a more holistic story with characters that are relatable, characters that are flawed, people you can see yourself in. So I write very determinedly, right, to make readers feel like they can identify and relate to the characters that they're reading.
Well, it's St. Valentine's Day, and Lord knows we need as much love in the world today as we can find.
Oh, that's the truth.
So God bless you. And when the new book comes out, will you come back on the show and talk to us a little bit about us?
Absolutely. I would be very pleased to do that.
Thanks a lot for coming by.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Happy St. Valentine's Day.
Yay, happy Valentine's Day.
From the air, from the land, the latest in news and perspectives on books and music here at Tom's Cabin. Hey, circle the date on your calendar, March 28th. It's a Saturday. It's coming up in just a couple of months. Books on the Bay 2026. Right here in Pensacola, city of Five Flags. Make it a point to come as a exhibitor or as a reader. Books on the Bay, it's going to be a blast. They have announced the dates for 2026 for Author Nation and Reader Nation. Make it a point to come by next November in Las Vegas, Nevada. Romance novels. Few genres inspire as much passion, loyalty, and yes, even sometimes controversy as these endlessly popular books. Whether it's the slow burn of two people falling in love and discovering each other, or the high-stakes drama of two lovers being pulled apart, or the electric spark of a single kiss, Romance has a gravitational pull that has lasted for centuries. But what is a romance novel, really? And why do they dominate the publishing world year after year after year? Some of the most ardent and enthusiastic supporters are romance readers. We're going to break it down for you, maybe bust a few myths along the way. So let's start with, what is a romance novel? At its core, a romance novel is a story where the emotional journey of falling in love is the central plot. It's not a side quest, it's not a subplot, it's the central plot. And it's the beating heart of the entire book. There are two key ingredients that define the genre. One, a central love story. Two, an emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending, the quote-unquote happy ending. Everything else, whether it's historical detail, mystery elements, fantasy world building, steamy tension, whatever, it all swirls around that central love story. Make no mistake, romance is not a single flavor. It's an entire galaxy of subgenres. You got historical romance, contemporary romance, rom-coms that are lean and funny and awkward and sweet, paranormal romance, fantasy and sci-fi romance, suspense and romantic thrillers, and of course, erotic romance, where the emotional arc and the physical arc are sort of together. If you can imagine a world or a situation or even a supernatural creature, there's probably a romance subgenre for it. Why are they so popular? I've thought a lot about this, but let's just talk about the numbers to get started. The numbers are indeed staggering. Romance is the number one best-selling genre in all of publishing. Not second, not third, not even close. It's number one. In the United States alone, romance generates well over $1 billion a year, often accounting for a third of all fiction book sales. And digital formats only make it bigger. Romance practically built the ebook revolution back in the 70s. So why does this genre outpace everything else? I think there's a few reasons. Number one, emotional escapism. Lord knows with what's going on in the world today, we want to escape. Life is hard, bills, stress, deadlines, health, politics, it all piles up. Romance books give us a safe, comfortable space where emotional connection is guaranteed. We get to escape into somebody else's longing, their hope, their courage, their struggle, and hopefully their eventual triumph. It's not just entertainment, it's emotional nourishment. And number two, the promise of hope. No matter how dark the story gets, there's always a kernel of hope. Romance holds one powerful promise. It's going to be okay. I like that. The happily ever after is more than just a trope. It's a lifeline. It reminds readers that love is possible, healing is possible, and connection is possible. Characters also feel real in romance books. Romance authors are experts at creating deeply human, relatable characters, people with fears, desires, insecurities, past trauma, and big dreams that they're afraid to chase. People who look like us, people who struggle like us, and people who mess up like us. Their growth, emotional, personal, and romantic, becomes the reader's own journey. And also, romance books are about relationships. And it's one thing that every human understands. You don't have to know how to fight a dragon, solve a murder, or save the galaxy. But falling in love? Well, heck, everybody's hopefully had a experience with that. Or feeling vulnerable, or getting your heart broken. Every human being knows that terrain. Romance taps into those universal feelings. And finally, community, as we were talking about earlier. Romance readers don't just read the books. They form communities. I recently was at an Orlando book festival that was predominantly, the majority were romance authors, and I saw this firsthand. Unbelievable. They support authors by creating communities, TikTok and book talk channels, author reader conventions, shared recommendations for different romance books. Romance is not just a genre, it's a community. And it's a culture. A very warm, welcoming, passionate culture. Romance is also the one genre that everybody underestimates. People sometimes shrug it off as light reading or formulaic, but that really couldn't be further from the truth. I've read a couple of romance novels, Nora Roberts and Colleen Hoover. My experience has been they've got really tight plot lines, deep character developments, emotional layering, authentic characters and dialogue, and a satisfying payoff. I was fairly impressed. I don't want to say I'm going to start being a romance author or start being a romance reader, but I was impressed. A romance book has to hit both the heart and the structure. And there's something that most people don't know. Romance writers have some of the most loyal fan bases of anybody in bookdom. A romance author can drop a new book on Monday, and by Tuesday, it's already a bestseller. And few genres can say that. The genre is constantly expanding. As society changes, romance changes with it. We know our gay brothers and sisters now have a genre in romance that's very, very exciting. And from a physiological standpoint, it's kind of interesting to me. When we read a romance novel, our brain releases some substances. Dopamine, of course, everybody's heard of that. The happy reward chemical, it releases some of that. When you're reading a romance novel, octocin, I'm not saying that right, oxytocin, the bonding chemical, some of that's released, and then serotonin, the calm and content chemical we use to go to sleep at night. The same chemicals involved in real romantic attachment are released while you're reading a romance novel. It's a literal feel-good experience. And romance really reflects us back to ourselves. At the best, a romance book is a mirror. Every romance novel asks the same question. What does it take to be loved and to love someone else? If we boil it all down, romance authors offer 5 things no other genre does the same way. 1, a guaranteed emotional payoff. 2, character-driven stories. 3, the universal theme of love. Every human longs for that connection, and romance delivers that in 1,000 different forms. Reader agency. Romance readers choose the flavor of experience that they want, from a slow burn to enemies to lover to a second chance romance. You pick the vibe, and the book gives it to you. Who can ask for more than that? Comfort. When the world feels chaotic, romance books provide stability. When life feels cold, they provide warmth. When everything else feels uncertain, romance books remind us that the human connection still matters. What is the future of romance books and the romance genre? It's expanding. More and more romance audiobooks, Kindle Unlimited now, TikTok and book talk trends, more and more self-publishing, multicultural storytelling. Queer romance is a big genre now. Fantasy and sci-fi. The genre is bigger now than it ever has before, and it looks like that's just going to continue. The audience is also more diverse than it's ever been. And there's a romance novel for every kind of reader, every age, every background, every identity, and there's a real beauty to it. When you strip everything else away, romance novels endure because they answer the most fundamental human question and human longing. We want to be seen, we want to be understood, and we want to be loved. Romance novels let us believe, even for just a few hundred pages, that happiness and love is possible. that people can grow, that we can heal, that love, real, complicated, and transformative love is within our reach. And that's why they're popular. That's why they've lasted for centuries, and that's why millions and millions of readers return to them every single day. You got romance readers reading 30 romance books a month. In the end, romance is not just a genre, it's a promise and a way of life. Let's take a look at some romance books, and let's look at, this is according to The Mirror in the UK. They now have a US edition as well. And this is assembled using data from 26 different romance book lists. The book had to be published in 2022 or later. And they include books that are on Audible, books from Time Magazine, USA Today, Reader's Digest. Here are the best romance novels of all time, according to The Mirror. Number 10, Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. Number 9, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Coming in at number 8, of the best romance novels of all time, The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Coming in at number 7, 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Moving forward in the best romance novels of all time, The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. These are in no particular order, but these are the best romance novels of all time, according to The Mirror. Coming up, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hogue, number 6. Number 5, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, by Talia Hilbert. Coming in at number 3, Outlander by Diana Galberon. Number 2, the quintessential classic Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then coming in at number 1 of the best romance books of all time, according to The Mirror in the UK and the US, Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And there you have it, the best romance novels of all time. Well, let's take a look at some popular romance books that are out right now. These are in no particular order. I was just in the bookstore and I found these books and I thought I'd mention them to you. First one was We Were the Lucky Ones, a novel by Georgia Hunter. I'm going to read the back blurbs just so you can get a feel for what the book might be about. We Were the Lucky Ones, a novel. A Jewish family in 1939 Poland is torn apart by World War II and scattered across the globe. We Were the Lucky Ones is now a Hulu series, the New York Times bestseller with more than 1 million copies sold worldwide. It's now a Hulu limited series starring Joey King and Logan Lerman, inspired by the incredible true story of one Jewish family separated at the start of World War II, determined to survive and determined to reunite. We Were the Lucky Ones is a tribute to the triumph of hope and love against all odds. That looks really, really interesting. We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter. Moving forward in popular romance books, how about A Mother's Love by popular author Danelle Steele, best-selling author, faces her past trauma when a thief's harassment reawakens old ghost while she adapts to an empty nest and finds a new friendship in Paris. Paris, the wonderful place of love. Yeah. How about Nora Roberts? Wow. If there's one author on this list who epitomizes and who is a recognized household name, it's Nora Roberts. Since 1980, Roberts has written and published an astounding number of romances. Her website claims that the number stands at over 215 novels. We better get busy. She's written over 215 romance novels. But this incredible prolific production does not come at the cost of quality. Over the years, Robert has been praised for her creative storylines, but she's also been criticized a lot for some of her writing and her dual shifting of perspectives. But she's won countless awards, the Golden Medallion and RITA Award from the Romance Writers of America Association. And she's had a number of her books turned into movies. Montana Sky, for example. High Noon is another one I can think of. She's got a Born in Fire trilogy. And the first one is, according to the critics, a must-read. It's certainly one of her best, and it centers on a fierce-minded, free-spirited woman living in Ireland, a country close and near and dear to my heart. So check that out. That looks very, very interesting. Born in Fire. Another very popular author in the romance genre is Catherine Bybee. Bybee is the queen of Amazon's contemporary romance charts, and her best-selling Weekday Brides and Not Quite series and their spin-offs, Weekday Brides and its spin-offs. She dabbles in historical and paranormal romance and is especially skilled at synthesizing her own traumatic experiences into her work. Bybee began to write during her recovery from child abuse. She weaves her personal experiences into each and every book. A very, very interesting author. Another must-read, according to the critics, is Wife by Wednesday. That's on the Wednesday Brides list at a number one. That is definitely something to take a look at. The books of Catherine Bybee. Another very popular romance author since 1980, Robin Carr, has made quite a name for herself, particularly with her Virgin River series of books. It follows the various love affairs unfolding at a forest outpost in California, from the gruff Marine who gets in touch with his softer side to the burned out chef who has to contend with a pretty steamy dish. You know what I mean. Virgin River supplies a stream of near endless romantic possibilities. It is steamy. Not to mention, it's slated for a Netflix series starring Alexandra Breckenridge. That's very exciting. Romance author Robin Carr. Another book that's very popular these days is The Business of Lovers, a novel by Dominic Hoffman. The Business of Lovers. Two struggling brothers navigate career woes, family drama, and unconventional relationships with four alluring women in the pursuit of love and desire. All is fair in love and lust in the New York Times best-selling The Tale of Two Brothers, Four Women, and the Business of Desire by Dominic Hoffman. Moving forward with popular romance novels that are out right now, how about The Most Fun We Ever Had? A family saga about four daughters with different lives and a long-buried secret that changes everything. It is most popular in the audiobook realm, and Amy Rankin is the narrator, and Claire Lombardo is the author. And you need to check out her new book, Same as It Ever Was, in addition to this book, The Most Fun We Ever Had. Another book that's popular right now in the romance genre, The Wedding People by Allison Ebach. A solo traveler at a Newport wedding venue is mistaken for the wedding guest, leading to an unexpected connection with the bride and a journey of personal transformation. It is a Today Show pick, a Jenna Book Club pick, a Goodreads Choice Award 2024 winner, and long listed in the Best of the Year 2024 picks in a bunch of different lists. This next author is so popular. If you've gone into a supermarket and looked at the bookshelf, if you've gone into a bookstore and looked at the romance section, you've seen her picture and you've seen her name. Colleen Hoover. Her latest is called Heartbones, and it's a story of young adults from different backgrounds embarking on a tentative romance, unaware of what the future holds. It's a #1 new release in romance, according to the New York Times. She's, of course, written the book It Ends With Us, which was very popular. And this is just another one of her breathtaking novels. The critic said, quote, "This book deserves a whole galaxy of stars, but alas, 5 is all I can give." Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. The romance novel has evolved, and it meets the desires of today's readers. Economically, the value of this genre cannot be overstated. So, in honor of St. Valentine's Day, go out there and get yourself some love. Go out there and find yourself a great romance book. Hey, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have love in your heart and you're going to go out and get yourself a good romance novel. Join us again next week, next Saturday at noon, where we'll talk some more about our passion for books and more here at Tom's Cabin. I'll see you next week. You go out there and find yourself a great romance novel, and you keep some love in your heart.